This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Hello again team, it's Jess or JashiiCorrin and welcome back for another video. Today we're setting up for October in my day-to-day bullet journal, but before we get into that setup, first we're just going to have a look at how September was going. If you watched my last monthly plan with me, you'll remember that for September I went with a pastel clouds theme with a purple and blue colour palette. As part of that, I also went outside of my comfort zone, making use of a fair bit of washi tape and also some craft paper and some blackout paper from my Archer and Olive notepad. Despite very much enjoying the layouts that I made for September, I found that I've actually had a hard time using my journal this month, just because I've been so busy with everything going on at school, and I typically find that when I'm busy, I tend to neglect my journal. Not a very useful habit to have, but one I am trying to address. Keeping in mind that I'm going to be just as busy come October, I've decided to simplify the setup of some of my monthly pages. But as we jump into the time lapse, just a reminder that any of the equipment I use in this setup is linked in the description box below. If what you'd seen in my October setup hadn't already given it away, yes, I am doing a Mean Girls theme for October. October 3rd is Mean Girls Day, given the part in the film where Aaron Samuels asks Katie what date it is.
On October 3rd, he asked me what day it was.
It's October 3rd.
2 weeks later, we spoke again.
It's raining.
Yeah.
It was actually in February this year that I decided that I was going to do a Mean Girls theme in October. Not only because I love the movie Mean Girls, but also because of this post from Plinth of Plinth Said over on Instagram. Although in that month their theme was inspired by Ariana Grande's song Thank You Next, because the music video for that song features a replica of the burn book from Mean Girls, I could take very heavy inspiration from the pages they did. I mainly liked the way that they did all of the burn book decorations with pink outlines rather than completely colouring in their pages in pink. So that is what I have used for all of the pages of my setup. As you can see here on the quote page, I've gone with one of my favourite quotes from the movie, which is "Boo you whore." Not a particularly pleasant quote, but I thought the boo element kinda tied in with the idea that we've got Halloween coming up too. It's been quite a while since I've done a Halloween theme, but I guess you could kinda consider Mean Girls a Halloween theme, because it at least has a Halloween scene in the movie. That counts, right? As you can see, the lettering for the quote page here, and also for the rest of the pages in this setup, takes the same style as the front of the burn book, which is that kind of ransom note lettering style, or the style of lettering where all of the letters have different fonts. I wasn't feeling super creative with my font choices, so mainly I went with block lettering that's either open or filled in, foligraphy, and occasionally a different style. More than anything, I just kind of wanted to make it so that any letters that were next to each other were not the exact same style of font. I will say that the nice part about lettering like this is that it's quite forgiving, because you're intentionally trying to make the lettering look different each time. Another part of the setup that was also very forgiving was the style of decoration. If you have a look at any pictures of the cover of the burn book, all of the decorations are very random, pretty scribbly, which of course for someone like me who likes to make things look very even and very uniform, was certainly outside of my comfort zone, but once I got the hang of it after penciling in a couple of spreads, I found that if you make use of just a few elements repeated, it does make it a lot easier. So that's things like the zigzagging lines, the kind of top-down view of the pyramid, the square-shaped spiral, some curly arrows, and a couple of other elements. Also, by limiting myself to just a couple of different designs, it did help to make my pages look a little bit more cohesive, despite the random nature of the decoration. Something a bit different for me in this setup is that for any of my black line work, I didn't actually end up using any Pitt artist pens. Instead, the main pen that I used for this one was the Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen with the hard tip, and then anywhere that I needed to do some fine line work, I either used my Muji in the 0.38 size, or I used my Papermate Inkjoy pen. I've actually been finding recently that I really just prefer writing with a ballpoint pen compared to a fine liner. I also think that ballpoint pens hold up better to my heavy-handedness, so I don't have to worry about the tip blunting. In terms of timing though, the quote page took about 30 minutes from first touch of the pen to final erasings, but as per usual, this doesn't include idea generation time or sketching in time. Quote page done though, and we're on to the cover page. This one very much mimics the style of the quote page though, so having the same style of ransom note lettering and then those sketchy doodles around the outside. In terms of the colour for the pages of this setup, I made use of my Tombow dual brush markers in 5 shades of pink. The darkest and lightest shades weren't used in the decoration, but for the headers, I started by tightlining around the outside of the letters with the second darkest pink, and then went around this again with the middle shade, and then again with the second lightest pink. As I mentioned before, all the equipment I use in this setup can be found in the description box, along with the numbers of the Tombows that I used. When it came to the sketchy doodles around the outside, I started by drawing these in with the middle shade of pink, and then went over the top of that with the second lightest pink. After that, I then went in over the top with the Fudenosuke pen to draw on the black line work. I quite like this style though, because it almost makes the decoration look like it's glowing. The headers in particular, because they're using 3 different shades of pink, while the other decoration just uses 2. The timing of this one was quite similar to the cover page, so again coming in at about 30 minutes. But now as the quote and cover are done, we're over the page and onto the monthly log. I'm again going with a calendar style layout for October, but instead of having a grid, I'm doing all of the days as separate boxes. This meant that I could make full use of all 5 of my Tombow colours, so you can see our darkest and lightest shades being utilised here. I also decided that for the month ahead, I again wanted to utilise Dutch doors, this time on my monthly layouts though instead of my weeklies. So you can see along the right hand side of the right hand page, I do have a section marked off to put that Dutch door in. This means that regardless of which monthly page I'm on for October, I'll still be able to see a decorative panel down the right hand side. The nice part about using a Dutch door like this is that you only have to do the decoration once, which was very much the thing I was aiming for with this Dutch door. In terms of timing, this page came in at about 27 minutes, but that doesn't include the decorative panel that ends up on the last page of the setup. Even though once I'm finished, you will be able to see it while on the monthly log. This time was certainly increased though by doing that ransom note lettering style for the days of the week, and had I gone with a more simplistic lettering style, this time certainly would have been a fair bit less. To finish off this layout, I coloured in the little tab using my Tombow, making sure to protect the part of the page that I didn't want coloured in with washi tape, helping me to achieve a nice crisp border, and then I cut away the Dutch door. Here you can see what we've got so far, but eventually we will get on to including that decorative panel down the right hand side in a couple spreads time. But before that, it's over the page and time to set up the habit tracker. For my habit tracker in October, I've decided to go with full grid mini calendars, but something that I don't typically do is draw these without a ruler. I figured that the freehand look better matched the sketchy style of decoration we have. So I've actually not used a ruler at all in this setup, which if you've been here for more than one video, you'll know that is certainly outside of my comfort zone. I am a big fan of my ruler. The design of this layout, like the others in this setup, was still very much inspired by Plinth over on Instagram, and a link to their account can also be found in the description box. They do some very cool monthly themes and are very worth checking out. At this stage, I'm not too sure what I want my tracked habits to be for October, but I have enough space for 6 on this setup. A little bit less than the 12 that I'm currently tracking, so I'm gonna have to have a think about which ones I actually want to keep. The final step for setting up this page was colouring in the tab of my Dutch door, and then after approximately 22 minutes, the habit tracker was done, and it was over to the other side of the spread to set up my social media schedule. The structure of this one I've changed a bit for the month coming, just as I don't have a full page given the Dutch door. To condense this one, I've eliminated the Instagram section, mainly because I haven't been using it, and I've recombined my 2 YouTube sections into one. So rather than having separate lists for my main channel content and my vlog channel content, I've instead got them both together in one list like I used to have. At the bottom, I've still got my list for my Patreon content, and I've actually been thinking quite a lot about my Patreon content recently in terms of how I want to expand this when I'm less busy. My social media schedule took approximately 14 minutes from first touch of the pen to final erasings, but of course this doesn't include the sketching in time as usual. Before we move on to our next layout though, I wanted to take a moment to talk about our sponsor for this video, Squarespace. Squarespace is an impressive all-in-one platform that you can use to make functional and beautiful websites to build your online presence. Some of the features of this awesome tool are that Squarespace websites are mobile optimized, meaning any of the content that you build into your website is going to look great on any device. If you're looking to use your Squarespace website to build an online storefront, there's no limit to the number of products you can sell, and Squarespace has all the tools you'll need to get your business up and running, including a simple checkout process and secure payments for your customers. As someone who isn't very savvy when it comes to website building, I can totally understand the process of getting a website up and running to be very daunting, but Squarespace makes it simple and straightforward to get yourself set up with a beautiful and functional website. So head over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/JashiiCorrin to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video, and now we're flipping over and onto my meal log. While I included a meal log on the Dutch Door weeklies I set up for September, I've decided instead to have these as a separate monthly page for October. This is mostly because I'm planning on using a simplified weekly setup for the month ahead, similar to the one that I showed in a video that I released a week and a bit ago. That one, as well as any other related videos, can be found in, yes you guessed it, the description box below. This page was the quickest to set up of the layouts that we have in this video, coming in at about 11 minutes. That's because it was light on decoration and only really had the header, which was time consuming. After this though, we're on to the back page of that Dutch door, which is going to have the decorative panel down the right hand side. This one came in at about 16 minutes, so a little bit longer than the meal log, just because there was more header and more decoration to do. So just like our other pages in the setup, I started off by putting in all of the lettering for the headers, then went in with my pink Tombos, working from the darkest shade to the lightest shade, before finishing off with the Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen to do the black line work. I know some people will find these pages a little bit too bright for their liking, but I am super chuffed with how my Mean Girls theme turned out. Question of the day for you guys though, what is your favourite teen movie? Upon thinking of this, I really couldn't pick, so I think it's going to be a tie between Mean Girls, Easy A, and She's the Man. I know that in asking this question, I'm going to go through all of your answers and then have a huge list of movies that I want to watch over my holidays, but I'd be curious to know what your favourite is. For our final flip through though, we have the quote and cover page, the calendar style monthly log with the Dutch door, the habit tracker and social media schedule, my meal log, and my monthly to-do list. I feel like I say this most months, but I am so super chuffed with how these pages turned out. I really love the contrast between the bright pink and the black and the white, and I'm excited to use these pages for the month coming. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do make sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you hadn't already and felt so inclined, feel free to subscribe to my channel for more on planning, productivity, and personal development. And until next time, bye!